This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yes. Even on a Tuesday, it does not matter who I am. What matters is who you are, because that is the most important aspect of this whole thing as we have it going on. Anyways, today is Tuesday, November the 7th of 2023, day 311th of the year. Yep. The countdown continues and only 54 more days to go. Isn't that exciting? Not just for you, but for me and for all of us as we are doing our thingo. No, seriously. As we get to do our thing, it's super exciting. Anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM and hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio in USA, Canada, UK.
Oh yes, USA, Canada, UK. You know, the roundabout of stuff that we get to do, no doubt about that, as we are hanging and banging, no doubto. So there you go. There you go, as we are doing our thing. Anyway, so a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of things to do, but let's talk about this. If you want to interact with the show, it's an easy process of doing so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. That'll get you onto the other side of the equation. You'll get to do anything that you want, anything related to video, anything related to audio, anything related to text messaging. That will get you directly into our system, no problem whatsoever. And we'll hang out and do all that kind of fun stuff, so you don't have to worry about anything there. That's kind of the cool aspect of that world. So that's it. If you do it on the socials, we'll see it, but most of the times it's not until the end of the show. So that'll be something to think about as we are hanging out and doing all of the lovely things that we get to do. So no doubt about that. Outside of that, well, it's kind of a simple process as we're doing all of our things. We are a show that talks about safety and the news. News and safety. I don't think it gets much simpler than that. That's what we do. That's how we hang. That's how we bang. And that's what we are doing around here. So with that being said, here's how the equation works. We'll bring you some news. We'll talk about some main story that's normally related about safety. And then we kind of go from there. And when I talk about bringing you the news, I'm talking about professional broadcasters that are giving you everything that they can. Right now, I have Mark Mayfield waiting for you. Wants to talk to you. Wants to tell you what's going on and give you the latest and greatest. So why wait any longer? And let's go ahead and move forward. Let's bring some Mark Mayfield your way right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. Humanitarian aid may be flowing into Gaza, but U.S. officials say it's not enough. State Department Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel told reporters the U.S. is aggressively pushing to get more aid into the Gaza Strip as the war between Israel and Hamas continues. He said more than 400 trucks carrying supplies have crossed into Gaza from Egypt, but much more is needed. Meanwhile, Patel says the U.S. has helped more than 300 U.S. citizens evacuate from Gaza. House Republicans will try again to censure Michigan Representative Rashida Tlaib over her criticism of Israel following the deadly attack by Hamas on the U.S. ally. Brian Shook reports.
Georgia Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene and Rich McCormick both introduced new resolutions Monday to reprimand Tlaib. This comes after Greene's first effort to censure the Michigan lawmaker last week failed after nearly 24 Republicans joined Democrats to table the measure. I'm Brian Shook.
Former President Trump is calling his New York civil fraud trial a scam. After he wrapped up his testimony on the stand Monday, Trump said the case needs to be tossed.
This is a case that should have never been brought, and it's a case that should be immediately dismissed.
Trump repeatedly sparred with the Democrat-elected judge in the case as prosecutors pressed him on his financial records. At one point, the judge called on Trump's lawyers to control their client. New York's Democratic Attorney General is accusing Trump of inflating his net worth so the Trump Organization could obtain more favorable loans. Trump's daughter Ivanka will testify in the case on Wednesday. And the mother of a child killed in last year's mass shooting at Robb Elementary School is on the ballot today for the mayor of Uvalde, Texas. Kimberly Amata Rubio's daughter Lexi was among the 21 killed when Salvador Ramos went on his rampage. It took officers more than an hour to confront and kill him. Mata Rubio, also the president of Lives Robbed, a group of mothers and grandmothers of the victims who have pushed for changes after the shooting. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in New Delhi, I'm Neha Punia. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres once again calls for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, says the conflict is a crisis of humanity. Top diplomats for the G7 countries are gathering in Japan for their final summit of the year, and the conflict in the Middle East will be top of the agenda. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says previously difficult relations with China are showing significant progress after his meeting with President Xi Jinping.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
The Biden administration is putting billions of dollars towards upgrading Amtrak's Northeast Corridor. President Biden announced more than $16 billion for the upgrades while speaking from Delaware Monday.
25 different projects, all to build the Northeast Corridor from Boston to Washington. It's part of my agenda to invest in America, and I've been fighting for this for a long time.
The projects include rebuilding 100-year-old tunnels and bridges, upgrading tracks, and improving travel times. The funds come from the bipartisan infrastructure law's overall $66 billion investment in rail. Senate Republicans are rolling out a list of immigration reforms that they want attached to any foreign aid package for Ukraine. The proposal from Senators Lindsey Graham, Tom Cotton, and James Lankford includes the construction of the border wall, more pay for Border Patrol agents, and changes to the nation's asylum laws, which includes raising the standard for asylum requests for migrants who claim credible fear of persecution. The GOP senators want to end the so-called catch and release policy. Some customers still haven't been paid due to bank deposit delays caused by a human error last week. Lisa Taylor has more.
Banks emphasize to their customers that their funds are secure, according to CNN. A statement from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says the agency is aware of the issue and monitoring how institutions are responding. Payments that didn't go through needed to be resent, which can take extra time. I'm Lisa Taylor.
Office sharing company WeWork has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Once valued at $47 billion just a few years ago, the company reported liabilities ranging from $10 billion to $50 billion. Many companies ended their leases during the pandemic. And a hungry bear is being blamed for ruining a Florida family's dinner. They had ordered food through Uber Eats from Taco Bell last week, and the family's doorbell camera shows the driver dropping off the food. Then a black bear wanders onto the porch and takes it. The couple's niece says the bear even took the soda. Uber Eats issued the family a refund. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM and Radio Big as we are hanging out on this miraculous Tuesday, terrific Tuesday. You know, whenever the hell you want to put as a Tuesday inside of there. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to tell you what was on tap today. I really did. I was so excited about getting everything started that I just totally skipped that. And I guess at this particular point, do we even talk about it or we just go? Or we could talk about it. I mean, should I tell you what's trending? Do you want to know the trend? Do you know what we're going to talk about?
Here is what was trending. Rated R.
The labor market shows signs of stabilizing. We'll talk about that as we get into the shit list in just one moment. Taylor Swift has landed number 1, and Leonardo DiCaprio's planet-saving ways have landed him in some deep water. We'll talk about that as we get into show business. Dr. Phil is back, and Boy George heads to Broadway. We'll talk about that in casting calls. And a matter of fact, we're not going to wait anymore. We're just going to go directly into the shit list, and let's start talking right away about some Sam Bankman-Fried. A former assistant revealed that some insider details on Axis following his conviction last week. Natalie Teen said that during her testimony of SBF gave on the stand that he didn't fidget and stutter through where rehearsed answers. She also shed some doubt of the number of times that SBF said that he didn't remember the answers to very straightforward questions from the prosecution. Despite losing an estimated $500 million on FTX collapse, Teen says that she doesn't believe that SBF ever acted maliciously, but thought that his intentions were good, and the fraud eventually grew out of control. So there you go. At least the assistant's still in his corner. I mean, I guess that's one way to think about it, even though he was convicted. I mean, hey, listen, I don't know what to tell you. Just kind of the way that it goes sometimes. So there you go. Anyways, 2 studies presented by the American Heart Association this week showed that daily marijuana users are 34% more likely to develop heart failure. Yeah, the finding affected both recreational medical users and found no difference between smoking and vaping. This is according to CNN. I would like to know who the sponsor was of this study. I mean, those are always some important aspects to find out. So it does say CNN, but what other info is there? Because that's going to be the important portion.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying.
He is trying to be entertaining.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so after years of struggling to find workers, big companies are now dealing with employees who aren't quitting, the Wall Street Journal reports. But wait, executives say that the turnover rates have stabilized to pre-pandemic levels, suggesting that their people are ready to put their heads down and get back to work. Still, after years of uncertainty, particularly large organizations aren't seeing the attrition that they are expected for their headcounts. Nationally, new hires decreased by half between September and October of this year. Last year, staffing companies Adecco reported that 61% of Americans intended to stay in their current roles. And the number is up 73% this year. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. So there you go. Now the question becomes, will people be paid what they have earned, what all the work that they've put in? I mean, I will tell you, I'm always kind of amazed on some of these degrees that some of these job requirements must have a master's degree, and we're going to pay you $15 an hour. I mean, I don't know how some of the markets work. I don't think that that's going to suit too well with some, but hey, that's just the way that it goes. Anyway, take a listen to this. The Colombian government has announced that it intends to raise more than 300-year-old shipwreck to retrieve billions of dollars worth of treasure still on board. The Spanish ship San Jose sunk back in 1708 after its gunpowder stash exploded during a fight with the British Navy. Only 11 of the 600-odd sailors survived the incident. 8 years ago, a Colombian funded an exploratory mission that found the ship and its cargo in pristine condition, just over 3,000 feet. But wait, an American expedition company, the Spanish government, and a Bolivian indigenous group are laying claim to the proceeds that they find. The group are battling on who has the right to the shipwreck proceeds in court as the Colombian government carries out its retrieval efforts. This is according to the Daily News. So, I mean, I don't know. Who would have a right to a shipwreck? I mean, like, is there an owner when you start looking back to 1708? I mean, I'm just asking the question. It becomes a weird one as you think about it. I mean, how do you look at this information? Or you just go, I don't care.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show.
I don't know why our host has a face for radio.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so the group that manages the prestigious Pulitzer Prize Award for journalism is expanding the eligibility requirements. Previously, nominees had to have their work published in text-based news outlets, meaning that broadcast networks like NBC or NPR couldn't contend. Even though their websites contained multitudes of text articles, the new rules allows the digital news operations that have robust text-based reporting in addition to broadcast platforms are able to submit the reporting. The head honcho of the Pulitzer Prize Board did caution, though, that while the video submission may be part of an entry, the award are not for broadcast journalism. Typically, a division of the Emmys of news and reporting goes to video broadcasting. This is according to ABC News. So, what do you think? I'm just asking because it's an interesting one. I mean, it is interesting for sure. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Is this going to be now that it's time to go after it? Or are you looking at it and going, yeah, this is the time that I'm going to go after this award? I mean, I don't know. People do some interesting things. Anyways, with that said, interesting things. Let's talk about some real interesting things. Here's some Aaron Royale. I'm wanting to tell you about what the hell is going on with the world of business.
The UAW says General Motors plans to invest roughly $13 billion in its U.S. operations by the spring of 2028. Silvana Anau reports.
The union releasing details of its tentative contract agreement with GM after local leaders approved the pact. It must still be ratified by a majority of the union's 46,000 member with the automaker. Just like the deals with Ford and Stellantis, GM's contract includes a 25% pay hike, bonuses, and other enhanced benefits.
For the fourth straight quarter, Apple has reported a decline in revenue. Mark Mayfield has more.
Last week, the tech giant announced quarterly revenue was down by 1% from a year ago to $89.5 billion. CEO Tim Cook says he doesn't expect any growth during the holidays.
Our standard for a fun time is on the rise, a reflection of the rising cost of entertainment. The cost of admission and fees for entertainment rose faster than the cost of many staple goods last year. This is according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And studies on money and happiness tell us that paying for experiences tends to bring us greater pleasure than buying stuff because those experiences can deliver payoffs before, during, and after they happen. Dissatisfaction is more likely when money is tighter. A 2022 study showed that people feel worse about purchases of both things and experiences and write more negative reviews when money is tight. Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin is setting up a scholarship program in honor of the hospital workers who saved his life. Hamlin suffered cardiac arrest on the field back in January while playing in Cincinnati and ended up in the ICU for a week. Over the weekend, he announced he was establishing 10 $1,000 scholarships, each one in the name of the 10 people on the hospital team that kept him alive. Hamlin said his Cincinnati Heroes Scholarship will help underserved high school and college-bound students attend private high schools, trade schools, or universities in the area. Consumer and business news, Aaron Royale, NBC News Radio.
Okay, thank you, Aaron Royale, for that information right there on what exactly is going on. Let me tell you about some of the things that I was able to locate. The Dow was up 34 points to close at 34,095 on Monday. The S&P lost. Well, no, I lied. It was up by 7 points to close at 4,365. And the NASDAQ was up by 40 points to close at 13,518. West Texas Intermediate closed at $80 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $85 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was at $3.41 on Monday. Bitcoin was mostly flat on the day, trading just under $35,000. There was more than 2,175 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Monday, with more than 60 such cancellations. Tonight's Mega Million drawing, are you ready for this? Will be for a $196 million jackpot or an $89.1 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you can still do so. I mean, you still have time. I did say tonight, didn't I? Tonight, I'm not going to sing the song, but you got it. Anyways, let's get into some news and some things that are going on. The father of a suspected Highland Park shooter is pleading guilty to reckless conduct charges. Trey Thomas has more information.
Robert Cremo III is accused of killing 7 and injuring dozens at a 4th of July parade in the Chicago suburb last year. Prosecutors said Robert Cremo Jr. signed his son's application for an Illinois firearm owner's ID card when he was underage about 3 years ago. I'm Trey Thomas.
So there you go. There's some information coming out of Chicago. Take a listen to this. A 69-year-old Jewish man is dead after an altercation with pro-Palestinian demonstrators during a dueling protest in Thousand Oaks, California. The rabbi says that the man was not trying to hurt anyone.
He just heard that there was demonstrations taking place. He loves Israel. He's proud of being a Jew, and he went just to wave his flag.
The Ventura County Sheriff's Office says the man was the victim of a battery on Sunday afternoon. He died in the hospital on Monday on what's being called a severe head injury. The Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles says that the pro-Palestinian protesters hit the man in the head with a megaphone. The incident is being investigated as a hate crime. California State Senator Henry Stern, who represents parts of the Conejo Valley, says that further investigation is needed to determine what exactly happened.
He walked across the street and there was some argument. We don't know exactly what occurred in the argument. The most important footage in some ways to getting evidence is in his cell phone, which is locked.
So they're going to have to find out how to crack the thing, because that's going to be the next thing that's going to happen. You already know this. I know this. And that's what's going to take place. Anyways, U.S. Postal Service employees are held an Enough is Enough rally in downtown Detroit yesterday and described the dangers of their job. Matt McBeer recalled being robbed at gunpoint while delivering mail last July.
All I do is turn to the left for 2 seconds and to get my mail, get ready, and I heard a noise. And next thing I know, I looked up and there was a gun. It was touching my head.
Armed robberies of postal workers is up 30% every year since 2020, and over 2,000 letter carriers have been victims. Mail carrier Tran Du was an armed robbery victim 2 weeks ago in Detroit.
I never think it happened to me, and I couldn't breathe when I think about it.
So, interesting times for sure, and some of the things that are going on inside of the U.S. Postal Workers in regards of the information of what's going on, and as you're taking a listen. So, enough is enough. I would love to hear some more information on what exactly they want to do, because it's always some interesting times as we get the data out there for sure. Take a listen to this one real quick. Grand Rapids police are investigating after an absolutely insane violence spree, according to the police chief, Eric Windstrom. Police say that 3 people were found dead within several blocks of each other in the city of Burton Heights neighborhood. Take a listen.
You have to go back. I mean, if you look back to the Dantzler incident back in, well before I got here. But 3 murders in one day is something that I haven't experienced here. I hope to never experience again.
The Dantzler incident that he referred to was in 2011 when Roderick Dantzler killed 2 children and 5 adults in the worst mass murder in the city's history. Windstrom could not say for sure if the 3 deaths are connected, but did say that the crimes were not random. No names have been released. This Burton Heights resident spoke about the shooting deaths.
There's 3 bodies less than 10 hours. That's kind of spooky for our city, you know what I mean? Especially going into the holiday season. Like, them people, that's somebody's baby right there, you know what I mean? It's kind of hurt.
I don't know what the holiday season has to do with it being spooky. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing altogether, regardless of the time of the year. Let's kind of take a look at it that way as you are taking a listen to what's going on. Take a listen to this one coming out of Loveland, Colorado. A now former Loveland police officer accuses of sexually assaulting a teen girl faces several charges. Loveland Police Chief Tim Doran announced at the arrest at a Monday press conference, saying that people who criticize children deserve to be prosecuted. Yeah, hold on. People who victimize, not criticize, need to the fullest extent of the law. Take a listen.
Anyone who uses their badge to do so is a disgrace to this profession and should be rooted out.
The officer, 28-year-old Dylan Miller, was fired and arrested yesterday after being with the department since last year. He's charged with first-degree kidnapping and sexual assault of a child, among the other charges. The alleged incident happened over the summer when police say that Miller encountered the victim at a park with a friend and then led her to a secluded area and assaulted her with what he told the girl's friend to leave. According to police, a 15-year-old girl and her family filed a report last month that led to an investigation. The Larimore County Sheriff's Office says that Miller could have other victims as well. Loveland resident Carol Viana reacts to the arrest of Dylan Miller, who was a local police officer now charged of sexual assault.
If an officer did do this, I'd be deeply, deeply hurt by what our police department is allowing to have happen. And in this case, I hope it's not true.
Okay, hold on. What the police department is allowing to have happen. That's an interesting choice of words on how you're saying that. Listen, any kind of victim, anything that's going on, it still needs to be investigated. But I don't understand on how she is referencing on how the police department is allowing this to happen. That's an interesting one. They fired the person and arrested him. Federal perjury trial for former Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby resumes this morning. She is accused of lying to get COVID hardship withdrawals from the city retirement account to buy 2 vacation homes in Florida. During Monday's opening statement, prosecutors said that the case is about lawyers and public servants who placed her own selfish interest in front of the truth. Mosby's defense says that she lost money on her Mahogany Elite travel business. Former Maryland State Delegate Bali Ali was in the court to support Mosby. Take a listen.
When you have a travel agency business, people are not traveling. There's restriction. So that adversely impacted her business, so she couldn't make money.
Mosby's defense contends that she legally allowed to withdraw money from her retirement account, saying that COVID devastated her women retreat business and that she wanted financial security. Witnesses of the government included FBI forensic accountant who detailed Mosby's financial transaction and deducted for the business, which was not operational and had no clients. Mosby is also facing charges of making false statements on a mortgage application and the purchase of Florida homes, but no trial date has been set. I mean, it's pretty interesting in taking a listen to some of this stuff, that is for sure. Mayor Brandon Scott and Police Commissioner Richard Worley from Baltimore, Maryland, have outlined initiatives that they'll take to combat Baltimore's surging auto thefts. At Monday's news conference, the mayor said that the initiative will center on prevention, deterrence, enforcement, and continued legal steps against negligent manufacturers. He also gave an update on the vehicle theft arrest. Take a listen.
To date, we've arrested over 692 individuals in connection to stolen autos, including more than 250 young people.
The mayor says that the same individuals are driving many of the crimes. He says that there are 30 young people alone that have been arrested multiple times for carjackings and stolen autos. Police Commissioner Richard Worley says that the BPD is working with the Department of Juvenile Services and other agencies to make sure the juveniles who are the ones that are arrested remain in custody. Mayor Scott says that Kia and Hyundai cars make up 68% of all cars stolen in the city, and there will be 2 events coming up where residents can pick up a steering wheel lock. It sounds like something else. Police Commissioner Richard Worley says the efforts are being made to keep juveniles in custody.
We're working with DJS every single day to keep the individuals in jail once we make the arrest. Our Regional Auto Theft Task Force, our FBI, every federal, state, and local agency is working to help us.
The residents' cars stolen over the weekend, and it's been a little stressful. Take a listen.
I just couldn't get no sleep. I kept thinking about it. You know, what's going to happen with my car? Am I going to get it back? I'm not going to get it back.
Well, that's going to be an interesting one to see as things do continue. Let's get into our main story because it is that time.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, Rated R Safety Show, main story time as we are talking, as we are moving, as we are grooving, and we are talking about things that are going on. So I thought it was interesting. Yesterday we talked about the Ministry of Safety, safety ministry, the people that are going out there and talking about, the only way to success in safety is by following the method that I use. The only way to rock is the way that I tell you to do so. That kind of stuff. We don't do that around here. That's for sure. I mean, we want you to, do what you think that is the best for what you have going on. There has never been a doubt about that. But I was amazed the reason that I mentioned this. Because of the amount of people that reached out to me yesterday asking if it was them that I was talking about. And I thought that it was kind of strange. I thought it was some strange questions that were coming about because it was like, is that how you see yourself in regards to talking about this subject matter? Now, that's neither here nor there, but it becomes a very interesting one as you start thinking about it. No doubt about that. So there you go. Anyways, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. What we're here to talk about today is the oddities of the things that we do. It's the oddities of the things that happen inside of the work. And it's the oddities that people sometimes don't look at and go, oh, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I heard this a long time ago, and it has stuck with me throughout the years. But you never replace a damaged guardrail. And when I say that, I'm not talking about you don't replace the portion that's damaged. I'm talking about that you don't put something else in there. Because you know that if it is damaged, it's because it did its job. Think about it for a moment. Because you know that how roadways work, that if you have a guardrail and somebody bumps into it, didn't go through it, all that fun stuff, well, you want that to continue to be there because it did its job on what it's supposed to do. It might not be the prettiest thing. There might be some damages that occur. There might be some outcomes that are unexpected. But as it's been said before on this show, and I'm sure it'll be said again, we prefer to have someone break their arm than lose their life. Think about it for a moment. It's some of those weird things that happen from time to time. It's some of those very oddball things that we look at and go, can you legitimately say that without people looking at you weirdly? Well, yeah, does it matter how people are looking at you? Isn't the whole thing for us to be able to get people home safe? Isn't the whole thing for people to remain alive? I mean, that's the stuff that I would like to talk about. Hey, nobody's ever going to put a sign out there that says, oh, yes, we're only looking forward to 3 entries this year and no deaths. Because nobody's going to say that. So that's why it's become so hard when you hear some of these people talk about the drive to zero. And you want to approach them and tell them that, there's some better ways to go about it. But they're going to have a hard time saying, hey, this is okay, this is not okay. So focus on the safeguards on what you have going on in your workplace. Focus on the things that might not be the most beautiful aspects of the things that are going on, but that you know that will work out. Like, you know how some vehicles have roll bars? Have you ever looked at a roll bar? It's not very beautiful, but it does its trick. The vehicle does the trick with the roll bar. I saw one in a vehicle not so long ago, and I probably should say that a little bit better. A few years back, there was kind of an automatic popper-upper one, which I thought that one was kind of dangerous, but that's neither here nor there. But think about it. If you focus on safeguards today, on what things can help you be safe inside of your organization, that might not be the most beautiful, the most extravagant, you might be surprised on what some of these things are. I'm sure at one point we've talked about the story of the glove that Todd Conklin talks about and the accidental dismemberments that occurred at a very popular car manufacturer. If we haven't, we should talk about that soon in the near future. Think about this. Safeguards. What can they do for you and how can they help? It might change the way you look at stuff.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Well, you know that here at Safety FM and Radio Big, we're always trying to look for life hacks. So with the busy season just around the corner, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for your jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kits, can help you fuel up with fast chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, and ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Refresh your healthy habits without missing a beat. Choose from 34 weekly flavored packs. Dietitian-approved meals ready to eat in 2 minutes. All you need to do is head over to factorsmeals.com/safetyfm50 and use code safetyfm50 to get 50% off. That's code safetyfm50 at factormeals.com/safetyfm50 to get 50% off. Go there. Do it now.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, you are still listening to the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM and Radio Big. It is currently 44 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Tuesday. Yes, it's so lovely. Lovely, lovely. This right here, this is Still Pulse by Ghosthood. Songs available on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube Music. So there you go. Thanks for Ghosthood for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. So there you go. There you go. There you go. Let's get you back into some more stuff going on. But right now, let me tell you about the most important thing that I am going to ever tell you in my lifetime. And that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. Yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you. And what am I going to tell you about them? Well, no matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. To Write Love on Her Arms wants you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. All you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. Click on the section that says Find Help. Seriously, click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, there will be a plethora of information of things that you can do. Let you know that you're not alone. You can text the crisis text line. The information's there for the U.S., the one for the U.K., the one for Ireland, the National Prevention Suicide Lifeline, Trans Lifeline, the Trevor Project, just to name a few. There's all kinds of numbers listed on there and things to go about. Even how to interact and deal with addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorder, self-injury, suicide, trauma, and grief support. So for more information, TWLOHA.com. And click on the section that says Find Help. Top of the website, very far right-hand side. To Write Love on Her Arms. TWLOHA.com. Let's get you back into some more information on some things that are actually going on. And let's talk about a tip about tipping. Well, there's no subtle reminder to tip your delivery driver. DoorDash has been testing out alerts to remind customers to include gratuity if they want their food to arrive in a timely manner. If you place an order through the DoorDash app without leaving a tip, you may get a pop-up reading, orders with no tips might take longer to get delivered. Are you sure you want to continue? The note goes on to explain that Dashers can pick and choose the orders that they want to do. Orders that take longer to be accepted by Dashers tend to result in slower deliveries. In other words, tip your driver or be prepared to wait longer for a cold meal. Customers are given this option to add a tip again. Well, the word tip does supposedly stand for to ensure prompt service. I mean, that's what it sounds like now, doesn't it? And is it just me, or does it seem like tipping used to be about rewarding exceptional service, and now it's more about paying extra to receive almost acceptable service? I'll tell you, yesterday, I met with 5 people, and I went somewhere, and the tip was added to the dinner that I went to because of the size of the group being a total of 6. And it was 20% automatically, told us that the tip was already included. And I was like, isn't that pretty interesting on how that actually works? Because that didn't used to be how it was in the past. And I've been to this restaurant several times. And the fun part is, well, nothing against the restaurant. I mean, the service isn't exactly what it used to be. But I was amazed that the tip is now being included. And I was like, wow, I guess things have really changed. I mean, we've talked about shrinkflation around here, and now all of a sudden, now it seems like this tip thing is dominating everything in regards. I mean, I was at a car wash. I think I talked about this last week, but I'm still in shock. And it's one of those automatic touchless car washes where nobody interacts with you. And it asks if you wanted to leave a tip. I don't get it. I mean, I guess I'm very confused. Or maybe I'm just old at this particular point. I mean, what do you think things that need to be tipped on? Because I'm kind of confused on that. Is it just everything at this point? Or is it just me just kind of, just blabbing?
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Hey, I just wonder. I never know. I just never know on what exactly is the right thing anymore in regards of that. So there you go. Anyways, take a listen to this real quick. New York, with the year before 2024 presidential election, a majority of Americans think that the country is headed in the wrong direction. These New Yorkers shared their sentiment.
Not very positive, that's for sure.
I'm afraid for the country. I'm afraid.
I'm very frightened.
I just can't be bothered by it.
I really wish that there were 2 brand new candidates.
According to a new poll from ABC, 95% of Republicans think that the country is on the wrong track, along with 76% of independents and 54% of Democrats. However, the frontrunners, President Biden, a Democrat, a former President Trump, a Republican, are widely viewed as unfavorable by voters. New Yorkers worry that the war between Israel and Hamas means for America, along with other things.
So if you think that gas prices are high now, wait, they'll be $10, and then forget it.
Economy is number one, and
energy independence, and close that border, because right now, our enemies are just running across that border right now.
Even though both candidates are not well liked, former President Trump still has supporters in New York.
Everything that Democrats said would happen under Trump has happened under Biden, and worse. Everything. Economy's in the toilet. We're this close to World War III.
People are just fed up with the government, and Donald Trump is the middle finger to the government.
So I don't know. It's a very interesting time we're talking about this. Take a listen to this real quick. Voters in key parts of the country will head to the polls today. Michael Kastner has more.
Kentucky's Democratic Governor Andy Beshear is running to win a second term against Republican challenger Daniel Cameron, who currently serves as the state's attorney general and has been endorsed by Donald Trump. In Mississippi, Republican Governor Tate Reeves is seeking re-election. He's facing challenger Brandon Presley, who's vying to be the state's first Democratic governor in 2 decades. Abortion rights will be on the ballot in Ohio. Voters will decide whether to enshrine the right to abortion access into the state constitution. Meanwhile, control of Virginia's legislature is up for grabs. All 140 seats in Virginia's General Assembly are on the ballot. I'm Michael Kastner.
Okay, so what do you think about what's going on today? It'll be interesting to see, that is for sure. The voter turnout expected to be low, even though 5 cities and towns are holding elections across Miami-Dade. Barry University Sean Foreman says that Miami Beach voters will pick a new mayor for the first time in 6 years.
There's really no clear favorite there, and we might end up having a runoff if nobody gets above 50% in Miami Beach.
In Miami, voters could re-elect Commissioner Alex Diaz de la Portilla, who was suspended after a corruption charges. He denies all wrongdoing and has pleaded not guilty. Also, Sean Foreman says that voters could re-elect suspended Commissioner Alex Diaz de Portillo. Take a listen.
There's no real consensus on who the anti-Diaz de la Portilla candidate is, so it is very likely that Diaz de la Portilla wins that race. But if he does win election, many people expect that the next day Governor DeSantis will remove him from office again, as the governor has the authority to do for anyone who is facing criminal charges.
So, interesting times for sure as we are talking. Anyways, let's talk about something a little bit more positive if we can. And let's bring some John Smalls in here and let him tell us about what the hell is going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by RC. Dinah Shore said, "Bing Crosby sings like all people think they sing in the shower." I love Bing's voice. He sings some of my favorite Christmas songs, and he sings them well. As for the shower thing, I've never been a shower singer. Maybe because I grew up with 2 brothers and 3 sisters. So my showers were quick. I'd have to sing pretty short songs. Then when I grew up and moved out, I would usually wake up with just enough time for a quick shower before work. Maybe everyone else just has more time in there, but I've just never been a shower singer. I may have to try it though, especially if it'll make me sing like Bing Crosby. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is pushing for a ban on the manufacturing and sale of menthol cigarettes. Studies show they're highly addictive and more difficult to quit than regular cigarettes. The FDA last month sent rules to the White House Office of Management and Budget for review on the matter. More than half of adult smokers in New York City alone use menthol cigarettes. A new report shows 7 in 10 U.S. counties don't have enough maternal mental health providers. That means many new parents must deal with postpartum depression and anxiety alone or untreated. The Policy Center for Maternal Mental Health says 5 perinatal mental health providers are needed for every 1,000 births in every county to be able to ensure that new moms have the support they may need after giving birth. Health Update. Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, thank you, Sarah Lee Klesla, for that information right there on what the hell is going on with the health beat. There is no doubt about that. Anyways, let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. As I take a look around, back in 2000, Americans go to the polls in what could become one of the closest elections in history. George W. Bush eventually beat Al Gore through the former Texas governor lost the popular vote. The victory came after the Supreme Court intervened to end the vote recount in Florida. That happened back in 2000. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today. Lord turns 27. David D. Gia turns 33. Elsa Haas turns 35. Adam Devine turns 40. Rio Ferdinandi turns 45. David Guerta turns 56. John Taffer 69. And Joni Mitchell turns 80 today. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those. Not a lot going on today. National Bittersweet Chocolate with Almonds Day, and National Hug a Bear Day. No, seriously, hug a bear. No. Go hug a bear. That's what it's saying. Hug a bear. Yeah, that's what it is. Hug a Bear Day. I don't make these things up. I'm just telling you what they are. So there you go. Let's talk about some other stuff before we get you out of here. No doubt about that one. No doubt about that one. Let's talk about Did You Know real quick. The heart may be known as the love muscle, but a new study found that the feeling of love is mostly all in your head. The Aalto University researchers were able to identify that the body that people feel various types of love and intensity with the way that they experience the emotion. They found that love forms a spectrum with some types of felt intensity than others, and that the sensation of love tends to center in the person's head. However, some types of love are felt in the chest, while others are radiated through the entire body. The more intense the love, the more widespread the feeling was in the whole body. I tend to feel it mostly in the wallet. So there you go. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Let's keep it with that. Yeah, I'm going to get in trouble for that one. Let me run away real quick. Anyways, if you need a random joke for today, try this. I'm not saying that I tend to overreact, but there are good times that there are bad times to hand me a chainsaw. So, just be on the lookout when you're going to do that. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What to you is the funniest word in the English language? Shenanigans? Cunahootie? Malarkey? I don't know. What comes to mind? If you need something for the water cooler, try this one. 47% agree this is the worst part of the upcoming holiday celebration. What is it? Washing dishes. Why does that have to be holiday stuff? Isn't it just period? I don't know. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I'll be going over to RadioBig.fm if you want to come and hang out with me for the next couple hours or so as we talk about the world of music and entertainment, as we'll do all that stuff. If you don't want to do that, that's perfectly fine. You can hang out on Safety FM and hang out with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. Yeah, if you want to become a safety consultant, he is the guy to go to. No doubt about that. That will be Sheldon Primus taking over at the top of the hour. So there you go. That's going to sum up our time together. And I loved us being able to spend some time together. So thank you for being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it does not make a lot of sense to do what we do around here. No doubt about that. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. Think about that. That's where everything goes. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.